The mind is a delicate vessel. Feed it too much and it collapses. Feed it too little and it dissolves. But if you keep feeding the mind the same thing over and over, it becomes routine and nothing out of the ordinary. Or so they say. Over the course of my trucking career, I've seen all manner of terrifying things. More than any one person should be subjected to. And it's these things that have made my mind collapse. I hear a noise at night, and it doesn't feel like an ordinary occurrence. Instead, it petrifies me. All the terrible things that I've experienced come rushing back to me, and all it would take is a snap of a twig behind me in the forest. My experiences have made me paranoid, but it is this very paranoia that saved my life. I had been driving for what seemed like days, endlessly moving forward along road after road, my eyes fixated on the ground in front of me. I was starving. I needed a break, and my Radiohead playlist was coming to an end. I pulled up at a gas station and filled up the rig. I paid and moved it to the parking lot on the other side of the station. The parking lot was nearly deserted, but a few cars were scattered around the lot. I didn't like the feel of the place. Something about it made me shiver. I shrugged it off and went into the station for a coffee and a bite to eat. I returned to my truck an hour or so later and got in. I had driven a good few miles when I heard it tapping. I slowed my truck down and observed the road around me. There were no other cars. Where did that noise come from? I carried on driving, and after a while I heard it again, even louder this time. What was going on? By now I was incredibly confused, but continued driving nevertheless. After 20 minutes I heard the tapping again. This time I knew exactly where it came from. It was from inside the truck. If I wasn't so paranoid all the time, I would have passed it off as something in the mechanics making the sound. But I knew I couldn't just assume that. I stopped on the side of the road and got out. The first thing I noticed was that the clamp had been busted off and the doors had been tampered with. I was puzzled and opened them up. Inside, everything was as it should be. No one was inside. No boxes moved. It all looked to be okay. I reattached the clamp and got back in. I knew something human had broken that lock. Maybe they broke it but couldn't figure out how to get the doors open. While this was unsettling, at least I knew nothing was in there. I drove back off into the night. I drove for hours when eventually I suddenly felt a great unease. Something was in the back. I knew it. I stopped the truck, got my gun out of the glove box, and marched around. I undid the clamp and flung open the doors, my gun raised. Inside, again, I saw nothing. I couldn't believe it. I knew something was in there. I lowered my gun and was ready to walk away when I saw something move. Someone was climbing out from behind some of the boxes and standing up. The dark figure stood at the other end of the truck. I shot at him and missed. I opened fire without hitting whoever it was. The thing started walking towards me, fast. It had nearly reached me when I pulled the trigger. My gun clicked empty. I threw it on the ground and hurled the doors shut, feeling pressure put against them on the other side. I managed to clip the bolt in and immediately called the police. They were with me quickly and I explained the situation. One officer opened the doors while the other covered him. Both of them entered the truck and began to look behind the boxes. A few minutes later, they got out and told me they didn't find anyone. But they did find one thing. A carving of a person with a slit throat had been etched into one of the boxes at the back, and the knife was stuck in it. It was tested for fingerprints, but none were found. A few weeks later, I was driving along when I heard tapping once again. I couldn't bring myself to look in the back. I just told myself it was my mind playing tricks. I pray to God I was right.